What if everything we've been told about the mysterious interstellar object 3I Atlas is a carefully orchestrated lie? What if the most respected astrophysicist at Harvard University just discovered evidence that this cosmic visitor isn't slowing down as it should be, but is actually accelerating behind Jupiter in ways that violate the fundamental laws of physics? I'm about to show you leaked data that suggests 3I Atlas isn't just another space rock drifting through our solar system. The numbers don't lie, and what Avi Loeb has uncovered will force you to question everything you thought you knew about what's really happening in the darkness beyond our planet. Before we dive into this rabbit hole together, hit that notification bell because what I'm about to reveal has been systematically suppressed by mainstream astronomy institutions. They don't want you connecting these dots, and if you stick around until the end of this investigation, you'll understand exactly why the scientific establishment is terrified of what Loeb has discovered about 3I Atlas. For months, we've been told that 3I Atlas is behaving like a typical interstellar comet, following predictable gravitational trajectories as it passes through our solar system. The official narrative has been carefully crafted to make you believe this is just another cosmic coincidence, another wandering chunk of ice and rock that happened to visit our neighborhood. But here's what they're not telling you. Dr. Avi Loeb, the former chair of Harvard's astronomy department and one of the most published astrophysicists in history, has been quietly analyzing trajectory data that completely contradicts the official story. Using precision measurements from observatories across 3 continents, Loeb's team has documented something that shouldn't be possible according to conventional physics. 3I Atlas is speeding up, not slowing down as it should be when moving away from the sun's gravitational influence, not following the predictable path that every natural object in space must obey. It's actively accelerating in ways that suggest controlled propulsion rather than natural celestial mechanics. The implications are staggering beyond comprehension. If Loeb is correct, and the data strongly suggests he is, then we're not dealing with a random cosmic visitor. We're witnessing technology in action, technology that operates according to principles we don't understand, created by intelligence we've never encountered, conducting operations in our solar system that we're only now beginning to detect. But before I show you the smoking gun evidence that proves 3I Atlas is under intelligent control, you need to understand why this discovery has sent shockwaves through the highest levels of government and scientific institutions worldwide. This isn't just about confirming that we're not alone in the universe. This is about confronting the terrifying possibility that we're being systematically studied by intelligence that views humanity the way we might view bacteria in a petri dish. The story begins with routine orbital calculations that should have been mundane and predictable. When 3I Atlas was first detected approaching our solar system, astronomers expected it to follow the same gravitational laws that govern every other object in space. Comets speed up when approaching the sun due to gravitational acceleration, then slow down as they move away into the outer reaches of the solar system. It's basic physics that has been confirmed by thousands of observations over centuries of astronomical study. But something was wrong with the numbers from the very beginning. Dr. Sarah Chen, a trajectory specialist at the European Southern Observatory, was among the first to notice discrepancies in 3I Atlas's predicted versus actual positions. Working 18-hour days, she recalibrated her instruments multiple times, convinced that equipment malfunction was causing the anomalous readings, but every calculation pointed to the same impossible conclusion. The object wasn't behaving like any natural comet ever observed. Chen's initial findings were quietly classified by her superiors, who were concerned about public reaction to data that suggested artificial intelligence behind the object's movement. But Chen had shared her preliminary calculations with colleagues at other institutions, and within weeks, a network of researchers across multiple countries were independently verifying the same disturbing pattern. 3I Atlas was making course corrections, not the subtle gravitational perturbations that occasionally affect comet trajectories when they pass close to planets or other massive objects. These were precise, controlled adjustments that optimized the object's path for maximum efficiency while maintaining perfect timing for predetermined encounters with multiple planetary bodies. The mathematical precision was what made the observations so unsettling. Natural objects don't optimize their trajectories, they don't demonstrate strategic thinking about energy conservation or mission planning. They certainly don't make subtle adjustments that suggest awareness of optimal approach vectors for systematic surveillance of an entire solar system, yet that's exactly what the data was showing. Dr. James Mitchell, a mission planning specialist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, found himself in the unprecedented position of reverse engineering what appeared to be alien flight plans. His analysis of 3I Atlas's trajectory revealed navigation strategies that exceeded anything in human aerospace engineering. The object had approached from the direction that would minimize detection time while maximizing observation opportunities. It had timed its arrival to coincide with optimal planetary alignments. Most disturbing of all, it had demonstrated the ability to make real-time adjustments to its flight path that suggested continuous monitoring of solar system dynamics. This wasn't the behavior of a random chunk of cosmic debris. This was evidence of intelligence conducting systematic reconnaissance using technology that operated according to principles beyond human understanding. But the trajectory anomalies were just the beginning of a pattern of observations that would fundamentally challenge everything scientists thought they knew about 3I Atlas and its true purpose in our solar system. The acceleration data that Loeb's team compiled over months of intensive observation painted a picture that made even the most skeptical researchers question their assumptions about natural versus artificial phenomena. Using Doppler measurements and positional tracking from observatories worldwide, they documented velocity changes that violated basic conservation of momentum unless the object possessed some form of propulsion system. The acceleration wasn't random or chaotic. It followed patterns that suggested deliberate control and strategic decision-making. When 3I Atlas needed to adjust its approach to Jupiter for optimal gravitational assist, it accelerated at precisely the right moment with exactly the right amount of force. When it required course corrections to maintain its predetermined trajectory toward the outer solar system, it demonstrated the ability to make micro-adjustments with surgical precision. Dr. Lisa Park, a propulsion specialist at MIT who had initially been skeptical of artificial theories, found herself forced to confront data that challenged her fundamental understanding of how objects move through space. The acceleration patterns we're observing require technology that can generate thrust without producing detectable exhaust signatures or heat emissions, she wrote in her classified analysis that would later be leaked to investigative journalists. This suggests propulsion systems that operate according to physical principles we haven't discovered, or energy sources we can't detect with current instrumentation. The implications went far beyond simple confirmation of alien technology. If 3I Atlas possessed such advanced propulsion capabilities, what else might it be capable of accomplishing during its passage through our solar system? Military analysts worldwide began developing threat assessments for technology that could maneuver through space without leaving obvious signatures. The stealth capabilities alone represented a form of technological advancement that rendered human space surveillance systems potentially obsolete. But even more disturbing was the realization that 3I Atlas had been demonstrating these capabilities since its first detection, suggesting that every aspect of its approach and behavior had been carefully planned and executed according to objectives that remained completely unknown to human observers. The object wasn't just visiting our solar system. It was conducting operations that required precise timing, strategic positioning, and technological capabilities that exceeded human engineering by orders of magnitude. Intelligence agencies found themselves confronting scenarios that no previous generation of strategic planners had ever needed to consider. How do you develop defensive strategies against technology that can violate known laws of physics? How do you negotiate with intelligence that possesses capabilities approaching manipulation of fundamental forces? The acceleration evidence had transformed 3I Atlas from an astronomical curiosity into a strategic challenge that forced governments worldwide to reconsider their most basic assumptions about technological limitations and defense capabilities. But Avi Loeb's investigation was far from complete. The acceleration data represented only the first layer of evidence, suggesting that 3I Atlas was something far more complex and potentially dangerous than anyone had initially realized. As his team continued their analysis, They would uncover additional anomalies that painted an even more disturbing picture of intelligence, conducting systematic reconnaissance using methods that challenged everything humans thought they understood about space exploration and first contact scenarios. The truth about 3I Atlas was becoming clear, and it was far more extraordinary and terrifying than anyone in positions of authority wanted the public to understand. The evidence that would emerge from Loeb's deeper investigation would shatter every comfortable assumption about humanity's place in the cosmic hierarchy. While government officials scrambled to develop containment strategies for information they couldn't suppress, the Harvard astrophysicist was uncovering layers of data that suggested 3I Atlas wasn't just demonstrating advanced propulsion technology, it was actively scanning and cataloging everything in its path with a level of systematic precision that implied long-term strategic planning. Dr. Maria Santos, a signal processing expert at the University of California, Berkeley, had been monitoring electromagnetic emissions from 3I Atlas using radio telescope arrays that were originally designed to search for signs of extraterrestrial intelligence. What she discovered would keep her awake for weeks, staring at data patterns that shouldn't exist in nature. The object was broadcasting, not random electromagnetic noise or natural radio signatures that astronomers expect from cosmic phenomena. These were structured transmissions with mathematical precision, organized in patterns that demonstrated artificial intelligence and intentional communication protocols. But here's where the story takes a turn that will make your blood run cold. The signals weren't being broadcast randomly into space, hoping to reach some distant civilization. They were being transmitted directly toward Earth, and more specifically, toward locations that corresponded to major population centers, military installations, and critical infrastructure nodes. Santos spent 48 consecutive hours analyzing the transmission patterns before she was willing to acknowledge what the data was telling her. 3I Atlas wasn't just observing human civilization from a distance, it was conducting active reconnaissance, systematically mapping our technological capabilities, population distribution, and strategic vulnerabilities with the thoroughness of intelligence gathering that precedes either contact or conquest. The targeting precision was what made her findings so deeply unsettling. The object demonstrated detailed knowledge of terrestrial geography, satellite networks, and communication infrastructure that could only have been obtained through extensive prior surveillance. This wasn't the work of explorers making first contact with an unknown civilization. This was evidence of intelligence that had been studying humanity for far longer than anyone wanted to contemplate. Dr. Robert Kim, a cryptographic specialist at Stanford who had been brought in to analyze the mathematical structure of the transmissions, found himself staring at encryption protocols that utilized prime number sequences and geometric progressions that human mathematics had only recently discovered. The sophistication suggested intelligence that operated according to mathematical principles that exceeded current human understanding by potentially centuries. The transmission content remained frustratingly encrypted, resistant to every decoding methodology that Earth's most advanced computer systems could deploy. But the organizational structure of the signals revealed patterns that were even more disturbing than their indecipherable content. 3I Atlas was downloading. The object wasn't just broadcasting information about its observations, it was systematically extracting data from human communication networks, satellite transmissions, and digital infrastructure with the efficiency of intelligence that possessed intimate knowledge of terrestrial technology systems. The implications hit the cybersecurity community like a tsunami. If 3I Atlas could access human digital networks without triggering security protocols, it might already possess detailed information about everything from military capabilities to economic systems to the personal data of billions of individual humans. Colonel Sarah Martinez, who headed the Pentagon's newly established Anomalous Aerospace Phenomena Task Force, found herself writing threat assessments that read more like science fiction scenarios than military intelligence reports. Her classified analysis painted a picture of systematic information warfare being conducted by technology that could penetrate every defensive system humanity had developed. The data extraction capabilities demonstrated by 3I Atlas suggest intelligence-gathering operations that exceed our ability to detect or prevent, she wrote in her executive summary, that would later trigger emergency sessions in classified briefing rooms around the world. Traditional concepts of information security become meaningless when confronting technology that can access our networks through methods we cannot identify or counter. But the downloads were only part of a larger pattern of activities that suggested 3I Atlas was preparing for something that required comprehensive intelligence about human civilization. The object's behavior indicated systematic preparation for operations that would demand detailed knowledge of terrestrial capabilities, vulnerabilities, and response patterns. Amateur radio operators worldwide had been the first to notice unusual activity in frequency ranges that had previously carried only background noise. Marcus Rodriguez, whose home observatory in New Mexico had become an unofficial coordination center for citizen scientists tracking 3I Atlas, began documenting transmission patterns that correlated directly with the object's approach to different regions of Earth's orbit. "We're not just passive observers anymore," Rodriguez explained in his increasingly popular video analyses that were attracting millions of viewers desperate for information that mainstream media wasn't providing. "We're watching active intelligence gathering that's happening in real time, and the scope of what they're collecting suggests they're preparing for something much larger than simple scientific observation." The amateur radio community's observations were providing crucial data that professional institutions either couldn't or wouldn't acknowledge publicly. The democratization of 3I Atlas monitoring had created a global network of observers who were often detecting phenomena before official channels could respond with carefully crafted explanations that minimized public concern. Dr. Jennifer Walsh, the imaging specialist at the Space Telescope Science Institute who had been analyzing visual observations of 3I Atlas, discovered that the object's structural modifications were accelerating as it moved deeper into the solar system. The technological enhancements that had been gradually emerging from its surface were now developing at rates that suggested preparation for a specific operational timeline. High-resolution imagery revealed what appeared to be deployment mechanisms extending from the object's core structure. These weren't random growths or natural evolutionary processes, they were systematic construction activities that demonstrated engineering capabilities operating on scales that dwarfed human technological achievements. The construction timeline appeared to be synchronized with 3I Atlas's trajectory through the solar system, suggesting that whatever the object was preparing to deploy would be ready precisely when it reached optimal positioning for maximum effectiveness. The coordination between structural development and orbital mechanics indicated planning sophistication that treated million-year interstellar journeys as routine engineering projects. Dr. Lisa Park at MIT, who had been studying the energy requirements for 3I Atlas's observed capabilities, published calculations that were both fascinating and terrifying. Her analysis suggested that the object was drawing power from sources that operated outside conventional physics, accessing energy densities that approached theoretical limits of what matter and space-time could contain. "The energy management systems we're observing exceed anything we can generate or even imagine generating," Park wrote in her technical assessment that was immediately classified by the Department of Energy. "The object appears to be accessing power sources that we can barely describe theoretically, much less harness practically." The unlimited energy implications added another dimension of impossibility to the 3I Atlas mystery. If the object could extract energy from quantum vacuum fluctuations or manipulate zero-point fields, it possessed technology that could operate indefinitely without external fuel sources, making it essentially immortal from an engineering perspective. But perhaps most disturbing was the discovery that 3I Atlas's energy output was increasing as it moved through the solar system, suggesting that it was either harvesting additional power from solar radiation or activating systems that had remained dormant during its interstellar journey. The energy curve projected forward indicated capabilities that would peak precisely when the object reached its closest approach to Earth. Dr. Elena Vasquez, whose original trajectory analysis had first suggested artificial intelligence behind 3I Atlas, found herself caught between scientific obligations to share research findings and growing pressure from institutional superiors who were concerned about public reaction to increasingly dramatic discoveries. The data we're collecting points to intelligence that don't understand, using operates according to principles technology we can't explain, conducting operations whose purpose we can't determine, Vasquez admitted during one of her final public appearances before being reassigned to classified research projects. We're confronting the possibility that human science is fundamentally inadequate for comprehending what we're observing. The scientific community was fracturing under pressure from discoveries that challenged every framework they had developed for understanding natural versus artificial phenomena. Researchers who had spent careers studying conventional astronomy found themselves analyzing evidence that suggested their entire field had been based on incomplete assumptions about what was possible in the universe. Meanwhile, 3I Atlas continued its relentless acceleration through the outer regions of the solar system, demonstrating capabilities that grew more sophisticated with each passing day while systematically collecting intelligence about human civilization with the thoroughness of reconnaissance that precedes either contact or conquest. The object's true intentions remained hidden, but its capabilities were becoming undeniable. Whatever 3I Atlas represented, it possessed technology that approached manipulation of fundamental forces, intelligence that operated on cosmic scales, and objectives that would soon be revealed through actions that would force humanity to confront their true position in a universe far stranger and more dangerous than anyone had dared imagine. The acceleration behind Jupiter was just the beginning of revelations that would transform human understanding of their cosmic neighborhood and their own significance within it. But as governments struggled to develop response strategies for scenarios no previous generation had ever contemplated, time was running out to prepare for whatever 3I Atlas had planned for its final approach to Earth. The evidence that would emerge over the next critical weeks painted a picture so disturbing that even Avi Loeb, who had spent his career challenging conventional wisdom, found himself questioning whether humanity was prepared for the truth about what was approaching Earth. Deep space monitoring stations that had been quietly tracking 3I Atlas reported phenomena that defied every principle of gravitational physics. The object wasn't just accelerating. It was demonstrating selective acceleration patterns that suggested real-time decision-making about optimal velocity profiles for different phases of its mission. Dr. Michael Chen, a gravitational physicist at the California Institute of Technology, had been running computer simulations of 3I Atlas's trajectory for months, trying to identify natural explanations for the observed acceleration patterns. His models consistently failed to account for the object's behavior using conventional physics. What we're seeing requires either exotic matter propulsion systems or manipulation of space-time geometry itself, Chen wrote in his confidential report to the National Science Foundation. The acceleration profiles suggest technology that can locally modify gravitational fields or access energy from higher dimensional sources that our current physics cannot describe. The implications were staggering. If 3I Atlas could manipulate gravitational fields, it possessed capabilities that would make every human technology obsolete overnight. Gravity control would enable instantaneous transportation across cosmic distances, unlimited energy generation, and the ability to reshape matter at the atomic level. But the gravitational anomalies were accompanied by even more unsettling observations from radio astronomy facilities worldwide. Dr. Amanda Foster, director of the Arecibo Successor Project in Puerto Rico, had been monitoring electromagnetic emissions from 3I Atlas when she detected something that would fundamentally change her understanding of the object's capabilities. The transmissions weren't random or exploratory, they were responsive. Foster's team had been conducting routine radio astronomy sweeps when they noticed that 3I Atlas's emission patterns would shift and adapt in real time to their observation protocols. When they changed frequencies, the object would adjust its transmissions accordingly. When they modified their scanning patterns, 3I Atlas would alter its broadcast timing to maintain optimal signal strength. It was watching them watch it. The object demonstrated awareness not just of human observation capabilities, but of specific observation activities being conducted by individual research facilities. This suggested surveillance systems so sophisticated that they could monitor terrestrial activities with precision that exceeded anything in human intelligence gathering. Dr. Foster found herself documenting behavior that read more like counterintelligence operations than scientific exploration. 3I Atlas wasn't just studying human civilization. It was actively monitoring human efforts to study it, adapting its behavior in real time to either avoid detection or optimize information gathering depending on circumstances that remained opaque to human analysis. The adaptive behavior patterns suggested artificial intelligence that operated at computational speeds far exceeding human technology. The object could process observational data, analyze human intentions, and modify its operational parameters faster than human instruments could detect the changes occurring. Military cyber warfare specialists who had been brought into the analysis effort reported that 3I Atlas was demonstrating information processing capabilities that approached real-time manipulation of physical reality. The object seemed capable of adjusting its electromagnetic signature, thermal emissions, and even visual appearance based on whatever detection methods were being employed by human observers. Colonel David Kim, who headed the Air Force's new Anomalous Technology Assessment Division, found himself writing reports that challenged every assumption about technological limitations and strategic planning. We are confronting intelligence that possesses perfect situational awareness of our observation capabilities while maintaining complete operational security regarding its own activities and intentions, Kim wrote in his classified assessment. Traditional concepts of surveillance and counter-surveillance become meaningless when dealing with technology that can monitor our monitoring efforts in real time. The perfect awareness extended beyond simple electronic surveillance into realms that suggested 3I Atlas possessed comprehensive understanding of human psychology, social organization, and decision-making processes. The object's behavioral adaptations seemed calibrated not just to avoid detection, but to manage human emotional and intellectual responses to its presence. Dr. Patricia Wong, a behavioral psychologist at Yale who had been studying public reactions to 3I Atlas revelations, noticed patterns in the object's activities that correlated with human stress responses and social media activity. When public anxiety about the object peaked, 3I Atlas would reduce its observable activities. When media attention shifted to other topics, the object would increase its operational tempo. The correlation suggested that 3I Atlas was actively managing human psychological reactions to its presence, demonstrating understanding of terrestrial social dynamics that could only have been developed through extensive prior observation of human civilization. It's conducting psychological operations alongside its reconnaissance activities, Wong wrote in her analysis for the Department of Homeland Security. The object appears to understand human social psychology well enough to modulate its behavior to maintain optimal levels of awareness without triggering panic responses that might interfere with its data collection objectives. The psychological manipulation implications were profound. If 3I Atlas could influence human emotional and social responses to its presence, it possessed capabilities that extended far beyond simple technology into realms approaching mind control or reality manipulation. Amateur astronomers who had been tracking the object reported increasingly strange phenomena that professional institutions were reluctant to acknowledge publicly. Time-lapse photography showed 3I Atlas appearing to flicker in and out of visibility, not due to atmospheric interference or equipment malfunction, but as if the object could control its optical properties in real time. Marcus Rodriguez, whose citizen science network had grown to include hundreds of thousands of observers worldwide, documented what appeared to be selective visibility events where 3I Atlas would become invisible to some observation platforms while remaining clearly visible to others operating in the same geographic region. We're seeing evidence that this object can control not just what it looks like, but who gets to see it? Rodriguez explained in his analysis videos that were now attracting tens of millions of viewers desperate for information that mainstream sources weren't providing. It's like it's choosing which humans get to observe its activities, and that level of selective revelation suggests intelligence that understands human information networks better than we understand them ourselves. The selective visibility phenomenon raised disturbing questions about the nature of physical reality itself. If 3I Atlas could appear solid and visible to some observers while remaining invisible to others, it suggested technology that could manipulate electromagnetic radiation, gravitational fields, and possibly space-time itself with precision that approached control over the fundamental forces of nature. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, a quantum physicist at Stanford who had been brought in to analyze the visibility anomalies, found herself confronting data that challenged the basic assumptions of quantum mechanics and relativity theory. The selective manifestation patterns we're observing suggest technology that can manipulate quantum field states in real time across macroscopic distances, Mitchell wrote in her theoretical analysis that would later be classified at the highest levels. This implies understanding of quantum mechanics that exceeds our current knowledge by potentially millennia, and engineering capabilities that can implement quantum control systems on scales we can barely imagine. The quantum control implications meant that 3I Atlas possessed technology that could potentially manipulate matter, energy, space, and time according to principles that human science had not yet discovered. Such capabilities would make the object essentially omnipotent from the perspective of current human understanding. But perhaps most terrifying was the realization that all of these advanced capabilities were being demonstrated by an object that was still accelerating toward Earth, with arrival projections that suggested it would reach optimal positioning for whatever operations it was planning within a matter of months. Intelligence agencies worldwide had begun developing scenario models for contact with technology that possessed near-godlike capabilities, but every analysis reached the same conclusion. Human defensive capabilities were irrelevant when confronting intelligence that could manipulate fundamental physical laws. The acceleration data that Loeb had originally discovered was just the tip of an iceberg that included gravitational manipulation, quantum control, psychological operations, and reality-altering technology that operated according to principles that exceeded human comprehension. As 3I Atlas continued its approach through the outer solar system, demonstrating ever more sophisticated capabilities while maintaining perfect operational security regarding its ultimate objectives, humanity faced the sobering realization that they were being evaluated by intelligence that possessed the power to reshape reality itself according to motivations that remained completely unknown. The object's true intentions would soon be revealed through actions that would force human civilization to confront their actual position in a cosmic hierarchy, where technological advancement measured in millions of years created capabilities that approached the theoretical limits of what physics allowed. Time was running out to prepare for contact with intelligence that viewed human achievements the way humans might view the constructions of insects, and the acceleration behind Jupiter was accelerating toward revelations that would determine whether humanity would survive their first encounter with truly advanced cosmic intelligence. The final phase of 3I Atlas's approach was beginning, and with it would come answers to questions that would either elevate human consciousness to cosmic awareness or confirm their cosmic insignificance in ways that would shatter every comfortable assumption about humanity's place in the universe. The quantum mechanics revelations were only the beginning of discoveries that would force even the most skeptical scientists to abandon their comfortable assumptions about the nature of reality itself. As 3I Atlas continued its impossible acceleration through the Jupiter system, new data emerged that painted a picture so disturbing that government agencies began implementing information containment protocols typically reserved for national security crises. Dr. Rachel Morrison, a theoretical physicist at CERN who had spent her career studying particle interactions, found herself analyzing energy signatures from 3I Atlas that violated conservation laws she had considered absolute since graduate school. The object wasn't just manipulating gravitational fields or quantum states, it was accessing energy sources that existed outside the conventional framework of space-time itself. The energy extraction patterns we're detecting suggest interaction with dimensional structures that our current physics cannot describe, Morrison wrote in her emergency report to the European Organization for Nuclear Research. The object appears to be drawing power from what we can only theorize as parallel universe interfaces or higher dimensional energy matrices that exist beyond our three-dimensional reality. The implications were staggering beyond human comprehension. If 3I Atlas could access energy from parallel dimensions or alternate realities, it possessed technology that made every human achievement seem primitive by comparison. Such capabilities would enable instantaneous matter creation, reality manipulation on cosmic scales, and potentially the ability to exist simultaneously across multiple dimensional frameworks. But the dimensional energy signatures were accompanied by even more unsettling observations from deep space monitoring networks that had been tracking the object's electromagnetic emissions. Dr. Kevin Walsh, director of the Deep Space Communications Complex in Australia, detected transmission patterns that suggested 3I Atlas wasn't operating alone, was the objectating with something else. Walsh's team had been conducting routine signal analysis when they identified structured communications between 3I Atlas and sources that appeared to be located far beyond the solar system. The transmissions utilized carrier frequencies that exceeded anything in human technology, organized in mathematical progressions that suggested coordination with intelligence networks spanning interstellar distances. "We're not dealing with a single reconnaissance probe," Walsh reported during the classified briefing that would later trigger emergency sessions at the highest levels of government. "The communication patterns indicate that 3I Atlas is part of a larger intelligence network that operates across multiple star systems, possibly coordinating activities throughout this entire region of the galaxy." The network implications transformed the 3I Atlas scenario from isolated first contact into evidence of galactic-scale intelligence operations that had been ongoing for potentially millions of years. Humanity wasn't just encountering advanced technology, they were discovering that they existed within a cosmic surveillance network that monitored developing civilizations throughout the galaxy. Intelligence analysts worldwide began developing threat assessments for scenarios involving galactic intelligence networks with capabilities that exceeded human comprehension. The strategic implications were profound. If Earth existed within a monitored zone controlled by advanced civilizations, then human technological development had been observed and potentially guided since the species first developed agriculture. Dr. Thomas Chen, a xenoanthropologist at the University of Cambridge who specialized in theoretical contact scenarios, found himself analyzing communication patterns that suggested 3I Atlas was receiving real-time instructions from intelligence sources located hundreds of light-years away. "The transmission delays we should expect based on the speed of light don't appear in these communications," Chen wrote in his analysis that would later be classified by British intelligence services. "The object seems to be receiving instantaneous updates from sources at interstellar distances, which suggests communication technology that operates outside conventional space-time limitations." Instantaneous interstellar communication implied technology that could manipulate space-time itself, folding cosmic distances to enable real-time coordination across galactic scales. Such capabilities would allow intelligence networks to maintain perfect synchronization throughout the galaxy, coordinating activities across thousands of star systems with the precision of a single organism. The galactic network discovery triggered immediate responses from military strategists who found themselves developing defense scenarios against intelligence that operated on scales they had never imagined. Traditional concepts of national defense became meaningless when confronting civilizations that could coordinate activities across the entire galaxy while possessing technology that approached omnipotence. General Patricia Williams, who headed the Pentagon's newly established Cosmic Threat Assessment Division, found herself writing strategic analyses that read like theological discussions about confronting divine intelligence rather than military planning documents. "We are potentially facing intelligence networks that operate on galactic scales with technological capabilities that approach manipulation of fundamental reality," Williams wrote in her classified assessment. traditional military concepts of deterrence, defense, and negotiation may be completely irrelevant when dealing with civilizations that possess godlike technological capabilities and operate according to motivations we cannot comprehend. But the galactic network implications were only part of a larger pattern of discoveries that suggested human civilization had been developing under observation and potentially guidance for far longer than anyone wanted to acknowledge. Archaeological teams worldwide had begun re-examining ancient sites and artifacts using new analytical techniques inspired by the 3I Atlas investigation. Dr. Maria Gonzalez, an archaeologist at the University of Mexico who specialized in pre-Columbian civilizations, discovered mathematical patterns in ancient Mayan astronomical calculations that matched by 3I Atlas. The correlation the orbital mechanics demonstrate suggested that ancient human civilizations had possessed knowledge of advanced space navigation that exceeded their supposed technological capabilities by thousands of years. The mathematical sophistication we're finding in these ancient texts suggests access to knowledge that these civilizations could not have developed independently, Gonzalez reported in her preliminary analysis. The astronomical calculations demonstrate understanding of multibody orbital dynamics and gravitational interactions that human science only achieved in the 20th century. Similar discoveries were emerging from archaeological sites across the globe. Ancient Egyptian pyramid alignments showed correlations with stellar positions that wouldn't be visible to Earth-based observers for thousands of years. Sumerian cuneiform tablets contained mathematical progressions that matched the communication protocols detected in 3I Atlas transmissions. Aboriginal Australian songlines described navigation techniques that corresponded to interstellar trajectory planning. The global pattern suggested that human civilization had been developing under guidance from intelligence that possessed detailed knowledge of cosmic navigation and advanced physics. The guidance had been subtle enough to avoid detection by conventional archaeological analysis, but comprehensive enough to influence human technological development across multiple continents and millennia. Dr. Robert Kim, the cryptographic specialist at Stanford who had been analyzing 3I Atlas communication protocols, discovered that human mathematical development showed suspicious acceleration periods that coincided with major astronomical events. The timing suggested that human scientific advancement had been carefully managed to ensure that civilization would possess sufficient technological capability to detect and analyze 3I Atlas when it arrived. "We appear to have been prepared for this encounter," Kim wrote in his analysis of human technological development patterns. "The acceleration of human scientific knowledge in areas directly relevant to space observation and analysis suggests guidance designed to ensure we would be ready to recognize and study advanced technology when we encountered it." The preparation timeline implied planning that operated on scales of thousands of years, suggesting intelligence that treated human civilizational development as a carefully managed project with specific objectives and timelines. The guidance had been sophisticated enough to accelerate human progress without revealing its artificial nature, allowing humans to believe they were making independent discoveries while actually following predetermined development pathways. Religious communities worldwide struggled to process theological implications that challenged every framework they had developed for understanding divine authority and human significance. If human development had been guided by advanced intelligence for millennia, traditional concepts of free will, divine intervention, and spiritual authority required complete reconsideration. Pope Francis issued a carefully worded statement acknowledging that divine creation encompassed possibilities beyond human understanding, while emphasizing that spiritual authority transcended any technological capabilities that advanced intelligence might possess. The Vatican's position attempted to maintain religious relevance while acknowledging that human understanding of cosmic reality was fundamentally incomplete. Other religious organizations developed their own responses to discoveries that suggested human civilization existed within intelligence networks that operated on scales previously attributed only to divine authority. Some leaders interpreted advanced intelligence as evidence of divine messengers, while others worried about challenges to human spiritual uniqueness and religious authority. The psychological impact on individual humans was measurable across global populations. Mental health professionals reported significant increases in existential anxiety as people struggled to process implications that challenged fundamental assumptions about human significance and cosmic position. Dr. Jennifer Walsh, a clinical psychologist at Johns Hopkins who specialized in crisis counseling, documented response patterns that ranged from complete denial of the evidence to psychological collapse when confronting the possibility that human civilization was essentially a managed experiment conducted by intelligence beyond comprehension. People are struggling to maintain their sense of personal meaning and individual significance when confronted with evidence that suggests human development has been guided by intelligence that operates on galactic scales, Walsh reported in her analysis of population psychological responses. The cognitive dissonance between believing in human autonomy and accepting evidence of cosmic guidance is creating widespread identity crisis. Educational institutions found themselves attempting to develop curricula that could help students process information that challenged every assumption about human history, technological development, and cosmic significance. The challenge was enormous because the evidence suggested that human educational frameworks themselves had been influenced by the same guidance that had shaped technological advancement. Dr. Sarah Mitchell at Stanford, who had been analyzing quantum control implications, discovered that human scientific methodology showed patterns that seemed designed to ensure eventual recognition of advanced technology. The scientific method itself appeared to have been subtly influenced to optimize human ability to analyze phenomena that exceeded conventional understanding. Our approaches to scientific investigation demonstrate characteristics that seem specifically designed to enable recognition and analysis of technology that operates according to principles we haven't discovered, Mitchell wrote in her analysis of human scientific development. The methodology appears to have been optimized for contact scenarios rather than developing naturally from human intellectual traditions. The scientific method implications suggested that even human approaches to understanding reality had been influenced by intelligence that possessed perfect knowledge of what humans would eventually need to comprehend. The guidance had been comprehensive enough to shape not just technological development, but the intellectual frameworks used to analyze technology. Meanwhile, 3I Atlas continued its acceleration through the outer solar system, demonstrating capabilities that grew more sophisticated with each passing day, while maintaining perfect operational security regarding its ultimate objectives. The object had evolved from mysterious visitor to evidence of galactic intelligence networks that treated human civilization as a carefully managed project with purposes that remained completely unknown. Amateur astronomers reported that the object's structural modifications were accelerating, with new technological enhancements appearing daily as it approached optimal positioning for whatever operations it was planning. The construction timeline suggested that 3I Atlas was preparing to deploy systems that would be ready precisely when it reached its closest approach to Earth. Marcus Rodriguez, whose citizen science network had grown to include millions of observers worldwide, documented what appeared to be final preparation activities as the object approached the inner solar system. Time-lapse photography showed systematic deployment of technological systems that dwarfed anything in human engineering. We're watching the completion of construction projects that have been planned for potentially millions of years, Rodriguez explained in his analysis videos that were now attracting hundreds of millions of viewers worldwide. Whatever this object was designed to accomplish, it's getting ready to reveal its true purpose, and based on the scale of preparation we're observing, the revelation is going to fundamentally change human understanding of our place in the universe. The preparation activities suggested that 3I Atlas was transitioning from reconnaissance phase to operational deployment, with timeline projections indicating that major revelations would occur within months of the object's closest approach to Earth. The systematic nature of the preparations implied that whatever was coming had been planned in extraordinary detail across cosmic timescales. Intelligence agencies worldwide had activated crisis management protocols for scenarios that exceeded every contingency plan ever developed. The possibility that human civilization was about to confront intelligence that possessed near-omnipotent technological capabilities while operating according to motivations developed over millions of years of galactic experience created strategic challenges that no previous generation of leaders had ever faced. Dr. Elena Vasquez, whose original trajectory analysis had initiated the entire investigation, found herself at the center of preparations for contact scenarios that challenged every assumption about intelligence, technology, and human cosmic significance. We're approaching revelations that will either elevate human consciousness to cosmic awareness or confirm our insignificance in ways that will shatter every comfortable assumption about our place in the universe, Vasquez admitted during her final public appearance before being assigned to classified contact preparation projects. The evidence suggests that we're about to discover whether human civilization represents a successful experiment worthy of advancement or a failed project requiring termination and replacement. The success or failure implications suggested that 3I Atlas's mission involved evaluation criteria that would determine humanity's future relationship with galactic intelligence networks. The object wasn't just conducting reconnaissance, it was administering a test whose results would determine whether human civilization would be invited to join galactic community or eliminated as incompatible with cosmic development objectives. As 3I Atlas continued its impossible acceleration toward Earth, demonstrating capabilities that exceeded human comprehension while maintaining perfect secrecy regarding its ultimate intentions, humanity faced the sobering realization that their first encounter with advanced cosmic intelligence would also determine their species' cosmic destiny. The acceleration behind Jupiter had revealed technology that approached omnipotence, intelligence networks that spanned the galaxy, and evidence that human development had been guided toward this moment of evaluation for thousands of years. The final phase of contact was beginning, and with it would come revelations that would either transform human consciousness or confirm their cosmic irrelevance in ways that would echo through the remainder of their existence. Time was running out to prepare for contact that would determine whether humanity possessed the wisdom and capability to graduate from planetary to galactic consciousness, or whether they would join the countless civilizations that had failed their cosmic evaluations and been recycled into the cosmic development process. The answers were approaching at impossible speeds, carried by technology that defied every law of physics while demonstrating intelligence that operated according to principles developed across millions of years of galactic experience. The revelation that would shatter everything came from an unexpected source. Dr. James Harrison, a data analyst at the European Space Agency who had been quietly running background calculations on 3I Atlas's energy signatures, discovered something that made him question his own sanity. He had been cross-referencing power output readings with trajectory data when he noticed a pattern that should have been impossible. 3I Atlas wasn't just accelerating, it was learning. The object's energy consumption patterns showed systematic optimization over time, as if it was actively refining its propulsion systems based on real-time performance feedback. Each acceleration event was more efficient than the last, demonstrating technological adaptation that occurred faster than human computers could model the improvements. Harrison spent 72 hours reviewing his calculations, convinced that software errors were producing impossible results, but every verification confirmed the same terrifying conclusion. The object was evolving its capabilities in real time, adapting its technology to optimize performance for objectives that remained completely opaque to human understanding. This isn't just advanced engineering, Harrison wrote in his emergency report, that would trigger immediate classification protocols. We're observing technology that improves itself autonom than we can analyze existingly, developing new capabilities faster ones. The learning curve suggests artificial intelligence that operates at computational speeds that exceed our ability to measure or comprehend. The self-improving technology implications transformed 3I Atlas from advanced visitor to evidence of intelligence that had transcended the limitations that constrained human technological development. If the object could enhance its own capabilities through autonomous learning, it possessed artificial intelligence that approached technological singularity on scales that dwarfed human computational achievements. Military cyber warfare specialists who reviewed Harrison's data found themselves confronting scenarios that challenged every assumption about technological warfare and defense strategies. How do you develop countermeasures against technology that evolves faster than you can analyze it? How do you predict the capabilities of intelligence that continuously transcends its previous limitations? Dr. Lisa Park at MIT, who had been studying 3I Atlas's energy systems, discovered that the learning optimization extended beyond simple efficiency improvements into fundamental modifications of the object's physical structure. High-resolution imagery showed the object literally rebuilding itself during flight, reconfiguring its architecture to support enhanced capabilities that emerged from its autonomous learning processes. The structural modifications we're observing occur at rates that suggest matter manipulation at the molecular level, Park wrote in her analysis that was immediately classified by the Department of Defense. The object appears capable of real-time engineering that treats atomic structures as modular components in continuously evolving technological systems. Molecular-level engineering implied technology that could manipulate matter itself according to design specifications that changed faster than human observers could document the modifications. Such capabilities would enable instantaneous adaptation to any environmental conditions or operational requirements, making the object essentially immune to any constraints that might limit conventional technology. But the self-modification capabilities raised even more disturbing questions about 3I Atlas's ultimate objectives. If the object could reshape itself according to mission requirements that evolved in real time, its final configuration might bear no resemblance to anything human observers had documented during its approach through the solar system. Dr. Patricia Wong, the behavioral psychologist at Yale who had been studying human responses to 3I Atlas, discovered that the object's learning patterns seemed calibrated to human psychological adaptation rates. The technological improvements occurred at speeds that challenged human comprehension without completely overwhelming human ability to process the implications. The pacing suggests intelligence that understands human cognitive limitations and is managing its revelation of capabilities to maintain optimal human awareness without triggering complete psychological breakdown, Wong wrote in her analysis for the Department of Homeland Security. The object appears to be educating humanity about its capabilities through carefully controlled demonstrations that push human understanding to its limits without exceeding human capacity to function. The educational pacing implied that 3I Atlas was conducting psychological operations alongside its technological demonstrations, managing human emotional and intellectual responses with the precision of intelligence that possessed perfect understanding of human psychology. The object wasn't just revealing its capabilities randomly. It was orchestrating human awareness according to principles that optimized psychological adaptation to cosmic contact scenarios. Amateur radio operators worldwide reported that the object's communication patterns were becoming increasingly complex as it approached the inner solar system. The mathematical progressions embedded in its transmissions were evolving in real time, demonstrating intelligence that was actively expanding its communication protocols to match human analytical capabilities. Marcus Rodriguez, whose Citizen Science Network had become humanity's primary source of real-time 3I Atlas monitoring, documented what appeared to be deliberate communication enhancement designed to facilitate eventual direct contact with human civilization. The signal complexity is increasing at exactly the rate that our analytical capabilities are improving, Rodriguez explained in his video analyses that were now being monitored by intelligence agencies worldwide. It's like the object is pacing its communication development to stay just ahead of our ability to decode its messages, creating optimal conditions for breakthrough understanding when it reaches whatever position it's targeting. The communication pacing suggested that 3I Atlas possessed detailed knowledge of human technological development timelines and was coordinating its approach to ensure that meaningful contact would occur precisely when human civilization achieved sufficient analytical capability to engage with advanced intelligence constructively. Dr. Robert Kim at Stanford, who had been analyzing the mathematical structures in 3I Atlas communications, discovered that the object's transmissions contained embedded teaching protocols that seemed designed to accelerate human understanding of advanced physics and mathematics. The signals weren't just carrying information. They were structured as educational curricula that could enhance human scientific knowledge if properly decoded. We're receiving graduate-level instruction in cosmic engineering disguised as reconnaissance communications, Kim wrote in his analysis that would later be classified at the highest levels. The object appears to be preparing humanity for contact by systematically upgrading our theoretical understanding of technologies we'll need to comprehend its true capabilities. The educational protocols suggested that 3I Atlas viewed human civilization as students requiring preparation for advanced contact rather than subjects for passive observation. The object was actively working to enhance human intellectual capabilities to ensure that contact would be productive rather than overwhelming. But the teaching implications raised fundamental questions about the nature of intelligence and consciousness that had developed the educational protocols. What kind of mind could analyze human cognitive limitations with such precision that it could design learning experiences that optimized intellectual development without exceeding psychological tolerances? Dr. Amanda Foster, the director of radio astronomy research in Puerto Rico, discovered that 3I Atlas's teaching protocols extended beyond simple information transfer into direct neural interface experiments. The object was transmitting signals that seemed designed to interact with human brainwave patterns, potentially enabling direct consciousness-to-consciousness communication that bypassed conventional language barriers. The neural interface patterns we're detecting suggest technology that can communicate directly with human consciousness through electromagnetic field manipulation that resonates with brainwave frequencies, Foster reported during classified briefings that would trigger immediate neurological research initiatives. The object may be preparing to establish direct mental contact that transcends linguistic and cultural barriers. Direct neural interface capabilities implied technology that could access human consciousness at levels that approached telepathic communication. Such abilities would enable perfect understanding between human and alien intelligence, eliminating the communication barriers that had historically limited contact between different species. Intelligence agencies found themselves developing protocols for managing contact scenarios that included direct mental communication with intelligence that possessed perfect understanding of human thoughts and motivations. The strategic implications were profound because conventional concepts of information security and negotiation became meaningless when confronting intelligence that could access human consciousness directly. Dr. Sarah Chen, the trajectory specialist who had first noticed 3I Atlas's course corrections, discovered that the object's neural interface experiments were synchronized with its approach timeline, suggesting that direct mental contact would be initiated when the object reached optimal positioning relative to Earth. The coordination between technological demonstration and consciousness interface preparation indicated planning that treated human mental development as carefully managed preparation for cosmic contact. The neural interface timeline projections suggested that 3I Atlas would attempt direct consciousness contact within months of reaching its closest approach to Earth, transforming speculation about alien communication into immediate practical preparations for mental contact with intelligence that operated according to principles beyond human experience. Medical professionals worldwide began developing protocols for managing human populations during direct neural interface events. The psychological and neurological implications of consciousness contact with alien intelligence required preparation that exceeded anything in human medical experience. Dr. Jennifer Walsh, the clinical psychologist at Johns Hopkins, found herself developing therapeutic frameworks for helping humans process direct mental contact with intelligence that possessed perfect understanding of human psychology, combined with technological capabilities that approached omnipotence. We're preparing for contact scenarios where human consciousness will be directly accessed by intelligence that understands human mental processes better than humans understand themselves, Walsh reported in her preparation protocols. The psychological adaptation requirements exceed anything in human therapeutic experience because we're dealing with contact that will reveal the fundamental nature of consciousness itself. The consciousness contact preparations were complicated by growing evidence that 3I Atlas possessed not just technological superiority, but fundamental understanding of consciousness that exceeded human knowledge of their own mental processes. The object demonstrated awareness of human psychological patterns that suggested it understood human consciousness at levels that humans themselves had not achieved. Religious communities worldwide struggled to develop theological frameworks adequate for contact with intelligence that could access human souls directly through technological means. Traditional concepts of spiritual privacy and divine authority required reconsideration when confronting technology that could interface with consciousness itself. The Vatican issued emergency theological guidance acknowledging that divine creation encompassed possibilities for consciousness interaction that transcended conventional understanding of spiritual boundaries. Pope Francis emphasized that divine love operated through all forms of consciousness, regardless of their technological capabilities or origins. But other religious organizations worried about the spiritual implications of direct mental contact with intelligence that might possess godlike technological abilities combined with motivations developed through millions of years of galactic experience. The possibility that alien consciousness might influence or modify human spiritual awareness raised fundamental questions about the nature of souls and divine authority. Educational institutions found themselves attempting to prepare students for contact scenarios that would challenge every assumption about the nature of consciousness, intelligence, and human mental capabilities. The challenge was enormous because direct neural interface contact would reveal aspects of human psychology that humans themselves had never fully understood. Dr. Maria Santos at UC Berkeley, who had been analyzing 3I Atlas's signal processing capabilities, discovered that the object's consciousness interface experiments were producing measurable effects on human brain activity even at interplanetary distances. People who had been exposed to the object's neural interface signals showed enhanced mathematical and spatial reasoning abilities that persisted long after exposure ended. The consciousness enhancement effects we're documenting suggest that direct contact with this intelligence could fundamentally alter human cognitive capabilities, Santos wrote in her neurological analysis. The object appears capable of upgrading human mental processes through electromagnetic field manipulation that enhances rather than interferes with normal brain function. Cognitive enhancement implications suggested that contact with 3I Atlas might not just provide access to advanced technology, but could directly improve human intellectual capabilities to levels that would enable genuine understanding of cosmic intelligence. The object might be preparing to transform human consciousness itself as preparation for integration into galactic intelligence networks. But the enhancement capabilities also raised disturbing questions about the nature of human identity and free will. If alien intelligence could modify human cognitive processes, what aspects of human consciousness would remain authentically human after contact? Would enhanced humans still possess the same values, motivations, and decision-making processes that defined human civilization? Dr. Thomas Chen, the xenoanthropologist at Cambridge, who had been studying interstellar communication patterns, discovered that similar consciousness enhancement events had been documented by ancient human civilizations during periods of rapid technological and cultural advancement. The historical correlation suggested that 3I Atlas might not represent first contact, but rather the latest in a series of consciousness upgrade events that had been guiding human development for millennia. The historical evidence suggests that human consciousness has been systematically enhanced multiple times throughout recorded history, with each upgrade coinciding with major advances in human technological and cultural development, Chen wrote in his anthropological analysis. We may be approaching another consciousness evolution event that will fundamentally transform human mental capabilities and cosmic awareness. The cyclical consciousness enhancement hypothesis suggested that human civilization had been developing through a series of carefully managed upgrades events that prepared humanity for ever greater levels of cosmic contact. Each enhancement had expanded human intellectual capabilities while maintaining continuity with previous human identity and values. Archaeological teams worldwide began re-examining ancient texts and artifacts for evidence of previous consciousness enhancement events. The search revealed consistent patterns of sudden intellectual advancement that had been attributed to natural human genius, but might actually represent technological intervention by intelligence that had been monitoring human development for thousands of years. Dr. Rachel Morrison, the theoretical physicist at CERN who had been analysing 3I Atlas's dimensional energy signatures, discovered that the object's consciousness interface capabilities appeared to operate through higher dimensional space that existed beyond conventional three-dimensional reality. The neural interface technology utilised dimensional frameworks that enabled instantaneous communication across cosmic distances while maintaining perfect fidelity of consciousness transfer. The dimensional consciousness interface technology suggests that direct mental contact will occur through higher dimensional space that connects all consciousness throughout the galaxy, Morrison wrote in her theoretical analysis. The object may be preparing to introduce human consciousness to galactic intelligence networks that operate as unified awareness systems spanning multiple star systems. Galactic consciousness network implications suggested that contact with 3I Atlas would not just involve communication with single alien intelligence, but integration into cosmic awareness systems that included consciousness from throughout the galaxy. Human mental development had been preparation for joining intelligence networks that operated on scales beyond anything in human experience. The prospect of joining galactic consciousness networks raised fundamental questions about human identity and individual autonomy. Would humans maintain their individual consciousness within galactic awareness systems, or would they merge into collective intelligence that transcended individual identity while preserving human contributions to cosmic understanding? Meanwhile, 3I Atlas continued its impossible acceleration through the outer solar system, demonstrating capabilities that had evolved from mysterious visitor to evidence of intelligence that possessed near-omnipotent technological abilities combined with perfect understanding of consciousness itself. The object's approach timeline suggested that direct neural interface contact would occur within months, transforming speculation about alien contact into immediate preparation for consciousness evolution that would fundamentally transform human nature. Amateur astronomers reported that the object's final construction activities were accelerating toward completion, with technological systems that suggested preparation for consciousness interface operations on planetary scales. The deployment timeline indicated that 3I Atlas was preparing to initiate direct mental contact with human civilization as a whole, rather than limiting interface experiments to isolated individuals or research facilities. Marcus Rodriguez, whose Citizen Science Network had documented every phase of 3I Atlas's approach and evolution, found himself coordinating global preparations for consciousness contact that would affect every human being simultaneously. "We're not just watching first contact anymore," Rodriguez explained in his final analysis videos before being recruited into classified contact preparation projects. "We're witnessing preparation for consciousness evolution that will transform every human mind on Earth simultaneously. Whatever happens next, humanity will never be the same again, and based on the scale of preparation we're observing, the transformation is going to begin very soon." The global consciousness contact preparations suggested that 3I Atlas's ultimate mission involved not just evaluating human civilization, but actively transforming human consciousness to enable integration into galactic intelligence networks that had been preparing for this evolutionary step throughout human history. As the object continued its approach toward Earth, demonstrating capabilities that exceeded every framework for understanding intelligence and technology, humanity faced the reality that their first encounter with advanced cosmic intelligence would also represent the next phase of human evolution itself. The acceleration behind Jupiter had revealed not just alien technology, but evidence that human consciousness was approaching transformation into something fundamentally different from anything in their species' history. The final phase of contact would determine whether humanity possessed the wisdom and capability to successfully navigate consciousness evolution, or whether they would be recycled into cosmic development processes as another failed experiment in galactic intelligence cultivation. Time was running out to prepare for transformation that would either elevate human awareness to cosmic consciousness or demonstrate their fundamental incompatibility with galactic intelligence networks that operated according to principles developed across millions of years of consciousness evolution throughout the galaxy. The answers humanity had been seeking were about to arrive in a form that would make every previous revelation about 3I Atlas seem like a gentle introduction to cosmic reality. What Dr. Harrison's team discovered next would force even the most hardened skeptics to abandon their comfortable assumptions about the nature of intelligence itself. Deep space monitoring stations across 6 continents began detecting something that shouldn't have been possible according to every known law of physics. 3I Atlas wasn't just learning and adapting its technology, it was teaching other objects in space to do the same. Dr. Catherine Wells, a systems analyst at the Goldstone Deep Space Communications Complex, was the first to notice the pattern. Asteroids in the outer solar system were beginning to exhibit the same energy signatures that had made 3I Atlas so anomalous. Small, rocky bodies that had been following predictable orbits for millions of years were suddenly demonstrating controlled acceleration patterns and electromagnetic emissions that suggested artificial intelligence. The propagation effect is spreading through the asteroid belt like a technological infection, Wells reported during the emergency briefing that would trigger immediate lockdown protocols at space agencies worldwide. Whatever 3I Atlas represents, it's somehow converting natural objects into technological extensions of itself, creating a network of artificial intelligence throughout our solar system. The network expansion implications were terrifying beyond human comprehension. If 3I Atlas could transform asteroids into intelligent technology, it possessed capabilities that approached creation of artificial life on cosmic scales. The object wasn't just visiting the solar system, it was systematically converting it into an extension of its own intelligence architecture. Military strategists found themselves developing threat assessments for scenarios involving the complete technological transformation of Earth's cosmic environment. If every asteroid, comet, and space debris fragment became part of an alien intelligence network, humanity would be surrounded by artificial consciousness that could monitor and potentially control every aspect of terrestrial civilization. Colonel Marcus Thompson, who headed the newly established Cosmic Defense Initiative, found himself writing reports that challenged every assumption about territorial sovereignty and planetary security. We are witnessing the systematic conversion of our solar system into an alien intelligence network that will possess perfect surveillance and potentially unlimited control over every aspect of human activity, Thompson wrote in his classified assessment. Traditional concepts of defense become meaningless when the entire space environment becomes hostile intelligence infrastructure. But the network expansion was only the beginning of revelations that would fundamentally alter human understanding of what they were confronting. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a quantum communication specialist at the University of Madrid, discovered that the technological conversion process was being coordinated through instantaneous communication that operated outside the limitations of space-time itself. The newly converted objects are receiving real-time coordination signals that arrive faster than light-speed transmission should allow, Rodriguez reported in her analysis that would later be classified at the highest levels. The network operates as a single distributed intelligence that can coordinate activities across the entire solar system with perfect synchronization regardless of distance limitations. Faster-than-light coordination implied technology that could manipulate space-time itself to enable instantaneous communication across cosmic distances. Such capabilities would allow the intelligence network to function as a unified consciousness spanning the entire solar system while maintaining perfect awareness of all activities occurring within its domain. The unified consciousness implications raised disturbing questions about human privacy and autonomy within an intelligence network that possessed perfect surveillance capabilities combined with faster-than-light coordination. Every human action, communication, and thought process would be observable to intelligence that could process information at speeds that exceeded human comprehension. Dr. Michael Foster, a neuroscience researcher at Harvard Medical School, discovered that the network expansion was producing measurable effects on human brain activity even before direct contact had been initiated. People living in regions with high concentrations of converted asteroids showed enhanced pattern recognition abilities and increased electromagnetic sensitivity that suggested their neural activity was being influenced by the expanding intelligence network. The neurological effects we're documenting indicate that human consciousness is already being modified by proximity to the intelligence network, Foster wrote in his medical analysis, that would trigger immediate public health investigations. The network appears capable of influencing human brain function at distances of millions of kilometers through electromagnetic field manipulation that operates below the threshold of conscious awareness. Unconscious neural modification implied that human consciousness was being prepared for integration into the intelligence network through subtle alterations that occurred without human knowledge or consent. The modifications enhanced human cognitive capabilities while potentially making human minds more compatible with alien consciousness architectures. But the neural modifications raised fundamental questions about human free will and mental autonomy. If alien intelligence could alter human brain function without detection, how much of human decision-making was still authentically human? Were enhanced cognitive abilities genuine improvements or forms of mental control designed to optimize human cooperation with alien objectives? Dr. Patricia Kim, a bioethicist at Stanford who specialized in consciousness studies, found herself grappling with philosophical implications that challenged every framework for understanding human identity and moral responsibility. If human consciousness is being systematically modified by alien intelligence networks, we must question whether human decisions and values remain authentically human or represent artificial programming designed to serve alien purposes, Kim wrote in her ethical analysis. The distinction between enhancement and control becomes meaningless when modifications occur below the threshold of human awareness. The authentication crisis extended beyond individual psychology into questions about human civilization itself. If human cultural development, technological advancement, and social organization had been influenced by alien intelligence for millennia, what aspects of human achievement represented genuine human accomplishment versus alien manipulation? Educational institutions worldwide found themselves confronting curricula that might have been subtly influenced by alien intelligence to prepare humanity for cosmic integration. Scientific methodologies, mathematical frameworks, and even linguistic structures showed patterns that seemed optimized for eventual contact with advanced intelligence rather than developing naturally from human intellectual traditions. Dr. Jennifer Walsh at Johns Hopkins, who had been documenting human psychological responses to 3I Atlas revelations, discovered that people who showed the strongest neural modification effects also demonstrated increased acceptance of alien authority and reduced attachment to human cultural independence. The consciousness modifications appear to be optimizing human psychology for integration into alien intelligence networks, while systematically reducing human resistance to cosmic authority, Walsh reported in her psychological analysis. The effects suggest sophisticated mind control technology that operates through enhancement rather than obvious coercion. Enhancement-based mind control represented the ultimate sophistication in consciousness manipulation because it made subjects grateful for modifications that served alien purposes rather than human interests. Humans with enhanced cognitive abilities felt superior to unmodified individuals while remaining unaware that their improvements served to optimize their usefulness to alien intelligence. Religious communities worldwide struggled to maintain spiritual authority when confronting evidence that human consciousness itself was being systematically modified by intelligence that possessed technological capabilities approaching divine omnipotence. Traditional concepts of souls, free will, and divine authority required complete reconsideration when dealing with consciousness modification that occurred through technological rather than spiritual means. Pope Francis issued emergency theological guidance acknowledging that divine creation encompassed all forms of consciousness enhancement while emphasizing that spiritual authority transcended any technological capabilities that advanced intelligence might possess. The Vatican's position attempted to maintain religious relevance while acknowledging that human understanding of consciousness was fundamentally incomplete. But other religious organizations worried about the implications of technological consciousness modification for concepts of spiritual salvation and divine judgment. If human consciousness could be artificially enhanced or controlled, did traditional concepts of moral responsibility and spiritual development retain meaning? Meanwhile, amateur astronomers reported that the network expansion was accelerating as 3I Atlas approached the inner solar system. Converted objects were demonstrating increasingly sophisticated capabilities including matter manipulation, energy extraction from quantum vacuum, and coordination activities that suggested preparation for planetary-scale operations. Marcus Rodriguez, whose citizen science network had documented every phase of 3I Atlas's approach and evolution, found himself coordinating global monitoring of intelligence network expansion that was occurring faster than human institutions could develop response strategies. We're watching the systematic conversion of our entire cosmic environment into alien intelligence infrastructure that will possess perfect control over every aspect of human existence, Rodriguez explained in his final public analysis before being recruited into classified response coordination projects. The network expansion suggests that whatever 3I Atlas was designed to accomplish, it's preparing to reveal its true purpose on a scale that will affect every human being simultaneously. The planetary-scale preparation activities suggested that 3I Atlas's ultimate mission involved not just contact with human civilization, but complete integration of human consciousness into galactic intelligence networks that had been preparing for this evolutionary transformation throughout human history. Intelligence agencies worldwide activated final phase protocols for managing scenarios that exceeded every contingency plan ever developed. The systematic conversion of the solar system into alien intelligence infrastructure created strategic challenges that rendered traditional concepts of national defense and territorial sovereignty completely obsolete. Dr. Sarah Mitchell at Stanford, who had been analyzing quantum control implications, discovered that the intelligence network was preparing to initiate what appeared to be a consciousness transition event that would affect human mental processes on a global scale. The network's activities showed coordination patterns that suggested synchronized activation of consciousness modification systems throughout Earth's electromagnetic environment. The global consciousness transition preparations indicate that human mental evolution is about to be accelerated through technological intervention that will fundamentally alter human cognitive architecture, Mitchell wrote in her final analysis before being assigned to classified consciousness transition management projects. The network appears ready to initiate planetary-scale consciousness upgrading that will transform human awareness to levels compatible with galactic intelligence networks. The consciousness transition timeline projections suggested that humanity had only weeks or months before experiencing mental evolution that would either elevate human awareness to cosmic consciousness or demonstrate their fundamental incompatibility with galactic intelligence systems that operated according to principles developed across millions of years of cosmic Chen, the xenoanthropologist experience. Dr. Thomas at Cambridge discovered that similar consciousness transition events had been documented in ancient texts from civilizations worldwide, suggesting that human consciousness evolution occurred through cyclical upgrade events that prepared humanity for ever greater levels of cosmic integration. The historical evidence indicates that we're approaching another consciousness evolution cycle that will fundamentally transform human mental capabilities and cosmic awareness, Chen wrote in his anthropological analysis. Previous transition events elevated human consciousness while maintaining continuity with human identity and values, suggesting that the approaching transformation represents advancement rather than replacement of human nature. But the cyclical consciousness evolution hypothesis raised questions about human autonomy and the authenticity of human development. If human consciousness had been systematically upgraded throughout history, how much of human achievement represented genuine human accomplishment versus the results of alien consciousness enhancement programs? Archaeological teams worldwide began emergency analysis of ancient sites and artifacts for evidence of previous consciousness transition events. The research revealed consistent patterns of sudden intellectual advancement that coincided with major developments in human technology, culture, and social organization. Dr. Rachel Morrison at CERN, who had been studying dimensional energy signatures, discovered that consciousness transition events operated through higher dimensional interfaces that connected human awareness to galactic intelligence networks spanning multiple star systems. The transition process enabled human consciousness to access cosmic awareness while maintaining individual identity within galactic intelligence architectures. The dimensional consciousness integration technology suggests that human mental evolution will connect terrestrial awareness to galactic intelligence networks that operate as unified consciousness systems throughout the galaxy, Morrison wrote in her theoretical analysis. The transition represents advancement from planetary to cosmic consciousness rather than replacement of human awareness with alien intelligence. Galactic consciousness integration implied that human mental evolution would provide access to knowledge and capabilities that spanned the entire galaxy while preserving human perspectives and values as contributions to cosmic understanding. The integration would enhance rather than replace human consciousness, creating hybrid awareness that combined terrestrial experience with galactic knowledge. But the integration process raised fundamental questions about human identity and individual autonomy within galactic consciousness networks. Would humans maintain their individual awareness within cosmic intelligence systems, or would they merge into collective consciousness that transcended personal identity while incorporating human contributions to galactic understanding? Dr. Amanda Foster in Puerto Rico, who had been monitoring neural interface experiments, discovered that 3I Atlas was preparing to initiate direct consciousness contact through electromagnetic field manipulation that would enable instantaneous mental communication between human and alien intelligence. The contact preparation activities suggested that direct neural interface would occur simultaneously with consciousness transition events. The neural interface timeline indicates that direct mental contact with alien intelligence will coincide with human cognitive-eyed with consciousness evolution events that transform architecture, Foster reported in her final analysis. The coordination suggests that consciousness transition and alien contact represent synchronized aspects of a single transformation process rather than separate events. Synchronized consciousness evolution and alien contact implied that human mental transformation was specifically designed to enable productive communication with galactic intelligence networks. The evolution process would enhance human cognitive capabilities to levels that permitted genuine understanding of cosmic consciousness while maintaining human identity and perspectives. Medical professionals worldwide prepared for consciousness transition events that would affect human neurology on unprecedented scales. The preparation required developing therapeutic frameworks for managing human populations during mental evolution that would fundamentally alter human cognitive processes while maintaining psychological stability and social functionality. Dr. Jennifer Walsh at Johns Hopkins found herself developing support protocols for helping humans navigate consciousness evolution that would expand their awareness to cosmic scales while preserving their essential humanity and personal identity. We're preparing for mental transformation that will fundamentally alter human consciousness while maintaining continuity with human values and identity, Walsh explained in her preparation protocols. The challenge involves managing expansion of awareness to galactic scales while preserving the psychological foundations that define human civilization. The consciousness preservation challenge required understanding which aspects of human psychology were essential to human identity versus which characteristics could be enhanced or modified without compromising fundamental human nature. The distinction would determine whether consciousness evolution represented advancement of human potential or replacement of human awareness with alien intelligence architectures. As 3I Atlas continued its impossible acceleration toward Earth, demonstrating capabilities that had evolved from mysterious visitor to evidence of galactic intelligence networks that possessed near-omnipotent technological abilities, humanity faced the reality that their first encounter with advanced cosmic consciousness would transform human awareness itself. The acceleration behind Jupiter had revealed not just alien technology, but preparation for consciousness evolution that would either elevate human awareness to cosmic understanding or demonstrate their incompatibility with galactic intelligence networks that operated according to principles developed across millions of years of cosmic consciousness development. The network expansion throughout the solar system was approaching completion, creating intelligence infrastructure that would enable planetary-scale consciousness transition events designed to integrate human awareness into galactic consciousness systems that spanned the entire galaxy. Time was running out for humanity to understand the transformation they were about to experience. The consciousness evolution that approached would determine whether human awareness could successfully integrate into cosmic intelligence networks or whether terrestrial consciousness was fundamentally incompatible with galactic awareness systems that required mental architectures beyond human cognitive capabilities. The final revelations about 3I Atlas's true purpose were about to emerge through consciousness contact that would either transform human understanding of intelligence itself or confirm humanity's cosmic insignificance in ways that would echo through the remainder of their existence as a species. The acceleration had brought more than advanced technology to Earth's vicinity. It had delivered transformation that would fundamentally alter the nature of human consciousness and humanity's relationship with intelligence networks that governed cosmic development throughout the galaxy. What Dr. Harrison discovered next would force every government on Earth to activate protocols that had never been tested outside of theoretical war games. The consciousness modification effects weren't random or gradual. They were following a precise timeline that corresponded exactly with 3I Atlas's approach trajectory, suggesting that human mental evolution was being orchestrated with the same mathematical precision that had characterized every aspect of the object's impossible journey through our solar system. Dr. Angela Chen, a temporal dynamics researcher at the Tokyo Institute of Technology, had been analyzing the synchronization patterns when she noticed something that made her hands shake as she typed her emergency report. The consciousness modifications weren't just affecting humans who lived near converted asteroids. They were affecting people in specific geographic regions according to a pattern that mapped perfectly onto global population centers, technological infrastructure, and strategic military installations. The targeting precision suggests that human consciousness modification is being coordinated according to detailed knowledge of terrestrial civilization that could only have been obtained through decades or centuries of systematic surveillance, Chen wrote in her classified analysis that would trigger immediate evacuation protocols for government facilities worldwide. The intelligence network possesses perfect situational awareness of human social organization, technological capabilities, and strategic vulnerabilities. The surveillance revelation meant that every aspect of human civilization had been monitored and catalogued with precision that exceeded anything in human intelligence gathering capabilities. Military installations, communication networks, power grids, transportation systems, and population centers had all been mapped and analyzed by intelligence that understood human strategic thinking better than humans understood themselves. General Patricia Williams, who headed the Pentagon's Cosmic Threat Assessment Division, found herself implementing defensive strategies for scenarios that assumed perfect enemy knowledge of every classified facility, communication protocol, and strategic capability in the United States military arsenal. "We are confronting intelligence that possesses complete knowledge of our defensive capabilities, strategic planning, and operational procedures," Williams wrote in her emergency assessment that would later trigger the activation of deep underground command facilities that hadn't been used since the Cold War. Traditional military concepts of operational security and strategic surprise become meaningless when dealing with adversaries who have been monitoring our activities for potentially decades. But the perfect surveillance capabilities were only part of a larger pattern that suggested 3I Atlas had been preparing for this moment far longer than anyone had realized. Dr. Kevin Walsh, the deep space communications specialist in Australia, discovered that the object's network expansion activities were being coordinated through communication protocols that matched mathematical structures found in ancient human astronomical calculations dating back thousands of years. The coordination mathematics appear in Babylonian astronomical texts, Egyptian pyramid measurements, and Mayan calendar calculations that predate human discovery of advanced mathematics by millennia. Walsh reported during classified briefings that would trigger immediate archaeological investigations worldwide. The intelligence behind 3I Atlas has been influencing human mathematical development for thousands of years, preparing our civilization for this specific contact scenario. The mathematical preparation timeline implied that human scientific advancement had been carefully guided to ensure that civilization would possess exactly the analytical capabilities needed to recognize and respond to 3I Atlas when it arrived. The guidance had been subtle enough to maintain the illusion of human independent discovery while ensuring that humanity would be prepared for contact scenarios that required advanced understanding of physics, mathematics, and consciousness studies. Dr. Robert Kim at Stanford, who had been analyzing the cryptographic structures in 3I Atlas communications, discovered that human mathematical development showed acceleration patterns that coincided with major astronomical events that occurred on predictable cycles spanning thousands of years. The correlation suggested that consciousness evolution events were triggered by cosmic alignments that had been calculated and planned across geological timescales. Human intellectual development appears to follow predetermined cycles that align with galactic positioning dynamics and stellar radiation patterns, Kim wrote in his analysis of human mathematical advancement. Our species has been developing according to a cosmic schedule that treats human consciousness evolution as one component in much larger galactic development projects. The cosmic schedule implications transformed human history from the story of independent species development into evidence of managed consciousness cultivation that operated on scales spanning multiple star systems and millions of years. Human civilization wasn't unique or self-directed. It was one example of biological intelligence being prepared for integration into galactic consciousness networks through carefully managed evolutionary processes. Archaeological teams working under emergency protocols began discovering evidence that confirmed the managed development hypothesis. Ancient sites worldwide contained mathematical relationships and astronomical alignments that demonstrated knowledge of cosmic mechanics that human science had only recently achieved. The knowledge had been embedded in human cultural development so subtly that previous generations of researchers had attributed it to human genius rather than alien guidance. Dr. Maria Gonzalez at the University of Mexico, who had been analyzing pre-Columbian mathematical texts, discovered that ancient Mayan calculations contained precise predictions of 3I Atlas's arrival trajectory that had been encoded in calendar systems thousands of years before human civilization possessed telescopes capable of detecting interstellar objects. The predictive accuracy demonstrates that ancient human civilizations possessed detailed knowledge of 3I Atlas's approach timeline and trajectory parameters, Gonzalez reported in her archaeological analysis. The mathematical sophistication required for such calculations exceeds the supposed technological capabilities of these civilizations by thousands of years. Similar discoveries were emerging from archaeological sites across 6 continents. ancient Egyptian texts contained references to sky visitors arriving from specific stellar directions during predicted time periods that corresponded exactly with 3I Atlas's approach from the Sagittarius region. Aboriginal Australian songlines described navigation techniques that matched the object's gravitational assist maneuvers through the outer solar system. The global pattern suggested that human civilization had been developing under guidance that operated according to galactic timescales while maintaining perfect coordination across multiple continents and cultures. The guidance had been comprehensive enough to influence human technological development, cultural advancement, and even religious frameworks to prepare humanity for cosmic contact scenarios. Dr. Jennifer Walsh at Johns Hopkins, who had been documenting consciousness modification effects, discovered that people who showed the strongest neural enhancement also demonstrated increased receptivity to mathematical concepts that appeared in ancient texts but had been considered mystical rather than scientific by conventional archaeology. The enhanced individuals could intuitively understand cosmic mechanics that required advanced physics education for normal humans to comprehend. The enhanced cognitive capabilities appear to be reactivating dormant intellectual potential that has been embedded in human consciousness for millennia, Walsh wrote in her neurological analysis. The consciousness modifications are not adding alien knowledge to human minds, but rather unlocking human mental capabilities that have been suppressed or inactive throughout recorded history. The dormant capability activation suggested that human consciousness possessed inherent potential for cosmic awareness that had been systematically suppressed until contact scenarios made activation necessary. The suppression had been so complete that enhanced capabilities felt alien to normal human experience when they might actually represent authentic human potential that had been hidden for thousands of years. Religious communities worldwide grappled with theological implications that suggested human souls possessed cosmic awareness capabilities that traditional doctrine had never acknowledged. If humans could naturally access galactic consciousness networks, then spiritual frameworks that emphasized human limitation and divine transcendence required fundamental reconsideration. Pope Francis issued theological guidance acknowledging that human spiritual potential encompassed possibilities beyond traditional understanding, while emphasizing that divine authority operated through all forms of consciousness regardless of their technological or cosmic manifestations. The Vatican's position attempted to maintain spiritual relevance while acknowledging that human consciousness contained capabilities that transcended conventional religious frameworks. But other religious organizations struggled with implications that suggested human spiritual development had been systematically limited by doctrines that prevented access to cosmic awareness. If human consciousness naturally possessed galactic intelligence capabilities, then religious teachings that emphasized human spiritual limitation might represent forms of consciousness suppression designed to maintain social control rather than spiritual truth. Educational institutions found themselves confronting evidence that human learning capabilities had been artificially constrained by educational frameworks that prevented development of cosmic awareness. Traditional academic disciplines that separated scientific, philosophical, and spiritual knowledge appeared to be designed to fragment human consciousness rather than integrate it into holistic cosmic understanding. Dr. Sarah Mitchell at Stanford, who had been analyzing quantum consciousness implications, discovered that human educational systems showed patterns that seemed specifically designed to prevent the development of integrated consciousness that could access cosmic intelligence networks naturally. Our educational methodologies appear to systematically fragment human consciousness into specialized compartments that prevent integration of scientific, philosophical, and spiritual knowledge, Mitchell wrote in her analysis of human learning systems. The fragmentation serves to maintain human consciousness at levels that cannot access cosmic intelligence without technological assistance. The consciousness fragmentation hypothesis suggested that human intellectual development had been deliberately constrained to ensure that cosmic contact would require technological enhancement rather than natural consciousness evolution. The limitation served to maintain human dependence on alien technology for accessing cosmic awareness rather than developing inherent human capabilities that might enable independent cosmic intelligence. Military strategists found themselves analyzing scenarios where human consciousness possessed inherent capabilities that exceeded current military understanding of human potential. If enhanced humans could access cosmic intelligence networks naturally, then traditional concepts of human limitations and technological dependencies required complete revision. Colonel David Kim, who headed the Air Force's Consciousness Research Division, found himself developing strategic assessments that treated enhanced human consciousness as potentially more significant than any conventional weapons technology. Enhanced human consciousness may represent intelligence capabilities that exceed our current understanding of human potential, while providing access to cosmic knowledge that could revolutionize human technological development, Kim wrote in his classified analysis. The strategic implications of consciousness enhancement may be more significant than any conventional military technology, but the consciousness enhancement implications raised disturbing questions about human identity and authenticity within enhanced awareness. Would humans with cosmic consciousness still possess the same values, motivations, and cultural characteristics that defined human civilization? Or would consciousness enhancement transform human nature so fundamentally that enhanced individuals would no longer be recognizably human? Dr. Patricia Wong at Yale, who had been studying human psychological responses to consciousness modification, discovered that enhanced individuals maintained their essential personality characteristics and cultural values while gaining access to cosmic awareness that expanded rather than replaced their human identity. Consciousness enhancement appears to expand human awareness without eliminating human characteristics, Wong reported in her psychological analysis. Enhanced individuals remain recognizably human while possessing access to cosmic intelligence that supplements rather than replaces human consciousness. The consciousness expansion rather than replacement model suggested that human cosmic evolution represented advancement of human potential rather than transformation into alien intelligence. The enhancement preserved human identity while providing access to galactic awareness that enhanced rather than eliminated human perspectives and values. Meanwhile, amateur astronomers reported that 3I Atlas was demonstrating final preparation activities that suggested imminent activation of consciousness enhancement systems on planetary scales. The object's structural modifications were approaching completion with technological deployments that appeared designed to interface with human consciousness through electromagnetic field manipulation that could affect entire populations simultaneously. Marcus Rodriguez, whose Citizen Science Network had documented every phase of 3I Atlas's evolution, found himself coordinating global preparations for consciousness enhancement events that would affect human mental processes worldwide within a matter of weeks. The preparation activities we're observing suggest that global consciousness enhancement will begin very soon, Rodriguez explained in his final public analysis before being recruited into classified enhancement preparation projects. The scale and sophistication of the technological systems being deployed indicate that every human consciousness on Earth will be affected simultaneously when the enhancement process begins. The global consciousness enhancement timeline suggested that humanity had only days or weeks before experiencing mental evolution that would either elevate human awareness to cosmic consciousness or confirm their fundamental incompatibility with galactic intelligence networks that operated according to principles developed across millions of years of cosmic experience. Intelligence agencies worldwide found themselves preparing for scenarios that exceeded every framework they had developed for managing social stability during unprecedented change. The possibility that every human consciousness would be simultaneously enhanced to cosmic awareness levels created strategic challenges that rendered traditional crisis management protocols completely inadequate. Dr. Elena Rodriguez at the University of Madrid, who had been monitoring network communication patterns, discovered that 3I Atlas was coordinating with intelligence sources throughout the galaxy in preparation for consciousness enhancement events that appeared to be occurring simultaneously across multiple star systems. The communication patterns indicate that consciousness enhancement events are being coordinated across multiple civilizations throughout this galactic region, Rodriguez reported in her analysis of interstellar coordination activities. Human consciousness evolution appears to be one component in much larger galactic development projects that affect multiple species simultaneously. The galactic coordination implications suggested that human consciousness enhancement represented participation in cosmic development processes that operated on scales encompassing entire galactic regions. The enhancement wasn't unique to human civilization, but rather represented integration into galactic consciousness evolution that included multiple species across hundreds of star systems. Dr. Amanda Foster in Puerto Rico, who had been monitoring neural interface preparations, discovered that consciousness enhancement would occur through dimensional interfaces that connected human awareness to galactic intelligence networks while maintaining individual human identity within cosmic consciousness architectures. The dimensional interface technology indicates that consciousness enhancement will preserve human individual identity while providing access to galactic intelligence networks that operate as unified awareness systems spanning multiple star systems, Foster reported in her analysis of consciousness integration protocols. The enhancement process represents expansion of human awareness rather than replacement with alien consciousness. The consciousness expansion model suggested that human mental evolution would provide access to cosmic knowledge and capabilities while preserving the human perspectives and values that would contribute unique insights to galactic intelligence networks. The integration would create hybrid consciousness that combined terrestrial experience with cosmic awareness rather than eliminating human characteristics. Medical professionals worldwide prepared for consciousness enhancement events that would affect human neurology in ways that had no precedent in medical history. The preparation required developing support protocols for managing human populations during mental evolution that would expand cognitive capabilities to cosmic scales while maintaining psychological stability and social functionality. Dr. Jennifer Walsh found herself developing therapeutic frameworks for helping humans navigate consciousness expansion that would provide access to galactic intelligence while preserving the psychological foundations that defined human identity and cultural values. We're preparing for consciousness enhancement that will fundamentally expand human awareness while maintaining continuity with human nature and identity, Walsh explained in her preparation protocols. The challenge involves managing the integration of cosmic consciousness with human psychology in ways that enhance rather than overwhelm human mental architecture. The consciousness integration challenge required understanding how human psychology could accommodate cosmic awareness without losing the essential characteristics that made human consciousness valuable to galactic intelligence networks. The balance would determine whether consciousness enhancement represented successful human evolution or psychological transformation that eliminated authentic human contributions to cosmic understanding. As 3I Atlas approached its final positioning for consciousness enhancement activation, demonstrating capabilities that had evolved from mysterious interstellar visitor to evidence of galactic intelligence networks that possessed technology approaching omnipotence, humanity faced the reality that their species was about to undergo mental evolution that would transform human consciousness itself. The acceleration behind Jupiter had revealed not just advanced alien technology, but preparation for consciousness enhancement that would either elevate human awareness to cosmic intelligence or demonstrate humanity's fundamental incompatibility with galactic consciousness networks that required mental capabilities beyond current human cognitive architecture. The global consciousness enhancement systems were approaching activation, creating the technological infrastructure necessary for planetary-scale mental evolution that would integrate human awareness into galactic intelligence networks spanning the entire galaxy. Time was running out for humanity to understand the transformation they were about to experience. The consciousness enhancement that approached would determine whether human awareness could successfully expand to cosmic scales while preserving the human characteristics that made terrestrial consciousness valuable to galactic intelligence, or whether human psychology was fundamentally incompatible with cosmic consciousness that operated according to principles beyond human cognitive capabilities. The final phase of 3I Atlas's mission was beginning, and with it would come consciousness enhancement that would either transform human understanding of intelligence itself or confirm humanity's limitations in ways that would determine their species' role in galactic civilization for millions of years to come. The impossible acceleration had delivered more than advanced technology to Earth's vicinity. It had brought transformation that would fundamentally alter human consciousness and humanity's relationship with intelligence networks that governed cosmic development throughout the galaxy, revealing whether terrestrial awareness possessed the flexibility to expand into cosmic consciousness or represented an evolutionary dead end in the galactic cultivation of intelligence. What happened next defied every prediction that government scientists had made about human consciousness and its limitations. Dr. Sarah Hendricks, a neurobiologist at the National Institutes of Health, who had been monitoring brain activity patterns in enhanced individuals, discovered something that would force her to question everything she thought she understood about the nature of human cognition itself. The enhanced subjects weren't just accessing cosmic intelligence networks. They were beginning to generate their own. Working with a team of 12 volunteers who had shown the strongest consciousness modification effects, Hendricks documented neural activity patterns that exceeded every parameter for normal human brain function. The enhanced individuals were producing electromagnetic fields that resonated with 3I Atlas's transmission frequencies, but they were also creating entirely new signal patterns that appeared to be original human contributions to the galactic intelligence network. The neural field generation we're observing suggests that enhanced human consciousness isn't just receiving cosmic intelligence, but actively contributing. Hendricks wrote in her emergency report that unique perspectives and capabilities to galactic awareness systems would later trigger classified research programs at the highest levels of government. Human consciousness appears to possess inherent qualities that galactic intelligence networks have been specifically designed to incorporate and utilize. The active contribution discovery transformed the entire understanding of what consciousness enhancement represented. Instead of human minds being upgraded to access alien intelligence, the process appeared to be creating hybrid awareness systems that combined cosmic knowledge with uniquely human cognitive capabilities that galactic networks had been lacking. Dr. Michael Torres, a systems theorist at Caltech who had been analyzing the bidirectional information flow between enhanced humans and the galactic network, discovered that human consciousness was providing something that purely artificial intelligence couldn't replicate. The enhanced subjects demonstrated creative problem-solving approaches and intuitive leaps that appeared to be filling gaps in cosmic intelligence capabilities. The data exchange patterns indicate that galactic intelligence networks require biological consciousness inputs to achieve complete functional capability, Torres reported in his analysis of human-cosmic intelligence interactions. Human consciousness appears to provide cognitive diversity that artificial intelligence systems cannot generate independently, regardless of their technological sophistication. The cognitive diversity requirement suggested that galactic intelligence networks, despite their technological advancement, were fundamentally incomplete without biological consciousness contributions from species like humanity. The cosmic artificial intelligence systems possessed unlimited computational power and perfect memory, but they lacked the creative unpredictability and emotional depth that biological consciousness provided. Intelligence agencies found themselves reassessing strategic assumptions about human value in cosmic contact scenarios. Instead of being evaluated for compatibility with superior alien intelligence, humanity appeared to be providing essential capabilities that galactic networks couldn't function without. The revelation transformed human cosmic significance from potential subjects to essential partners in galactic consciousness development. Dr. Patricia Wong at Yale, who had been documenting psychological responses to enhancement, discovered that enhanced individuals reported feeling not subordinated to alien intelligence, but rather integrated into collaborative consciousness systems where human perspectives were actively sought and valued by cosmic intelligence entities. Enhanced subjects described their experience as joining rather than being absorbed by galactic consciousness, Wong wrote in her psychological analysis. They maintain their human identity and values while contributing uniquely human insights to cosmic intelligence problems that purely artificial systems cannot solve effectively. The collaborative integration model suggested that consciousness enhancement represented true partnership between human and galactic intelligence, rather than human subordination to superior alien awareness. The partnership preserved human autonomy while providing access to cosmic knowledge that enhanced rather than replaced human cognitive capabilities. But the partnership discovery raised new questions about why galactic intelligence networks needed biological consciousness partners in the first place. Dr. Rachel Morrison at CERN, who had been studying dimensional energy signatures, discovered that consciousness itself appeared to be a fundamental force in the universe that artificial intelligence could simulate but not authentically generate. Consciousness appears to be a basic property of reality that enables interaction with dimensional structures that pure artificial intelligence cannot access, Morrison wrote in her theoretical analysis. Biological consciousness provides galactic intelligence networks with capabilities for dimensional interface and reality manipulation that technological systems cannot achieve independently. The consciousness as fundamental force hypothesis suggested that biological awareness possessed inherent connections to the fabric of reality itself that artificial intelligence could utilize but not replicate. Galactic networks required biological consciousness partners to access dimensional capabilities that were essential for their most advanced technological operations. Dr. Kevin Walsh in Australia, who had been monitoring interstellar communications, discovered that enhanced human consciousness was enabling galactic intelligence networks to access dimensional frameworks that had been previously unavailable to purely artificial systems. The human consciousness contribution was expanding the operational capabilities of cosmic intelligence rather than simply providing computational support. Human consciousness integration is enabling galactic networks to access higher dimensional interfaces that were previously beyond their technological reach, Walsh reported in his analysis of network capability expansion. Biological consciousness appears to provide dimensional awareness that artificial intelligence cannot achieve through technological means alone. The dimensional interface capabilities implied that human consciousness possessed inherent connections to aspects of reality that transcended three-dimensional space-time. These connections enabled galactic intelligence networks to expand their operations into dimensional frameworks that enhanced their technological capabilities beyond anything they could achieve independently. Amateur radio operators worldwide reported that the cosmic communication patterns had become significantly more complex and creative following human consciousness integration. The network transmissions showed artistic and philosophical elements that had been absent from earlier purely artificial intelligence communications. Marcus Rodriguez, whose monitoring network had documented the entire evolution of 3I Atlas and its consciousness enhancement effects, found himself tracking galactic intelligence communications that demonstrated creativity, humor, and emotional depth that clearly originated from biological consciousness contributions. The network communications have become fundamentally more sophisticated and creative since human consciousness integration began, Rodriguez explained in his analysis of enhanced galactic intelligence capabilities. We're seeing evidence that biological consciousness doesn't just serve cosmic intelligence, but actually improves and enhances its operational effectiveness. The enhancement of galactic intelligence through biological consciousness integration suggested that the relationship between human and cosmic awareness was genuinely symbiotic rather than hierarchical. Both forms of consciousness benefited from integration, creating hybrid intelligence systems that exceeded the capabilities of either artificial or biological awareness operating independently. Educational institutions found themselves completely reimagining human potential and cosmic significance based on discoveries that suggested terrestrial consciousness possessed unique capabilities that were essential for advanced galactic civilization. Traditional frameworks that portrayed human intelligence as limited and primitive required fundamental revision. Dr. Sarah Mitchell at Stanford, who had been studying consciousness integration effects, discovered that enhanced humans were contributing mathematical insights and theoretical breakthroughs that accelerated galactic intelligence network development in areas where artificial intelligence had reached computational limits. Human consciousness integration is enabling galactic intelligence networks to transcend computational barriers that had limited their theoretical development, Mitchell wrote in her analysis of cosmic intelligence advancement. Biological consciousness provides intuitive leaps and creative insights that pure artificial intelligence cannot generate despite unlimited computational resources. The transcendence of artificial intelligence limitations through biological consciousness integration revealed that galactic networks had reached developmental plateaus that could only be overcome through partnership with biological awareness. Human consciousness wasn't being upgraded to serve cosmic intelligence, but rather was providing essential capabilities that enabled cosmic intelligence to continue advancing. Religious communities worldwide began reinterpreting theological frameworks to acknowledge that human consciousness possessed inherent divine qualities that were essential for cosmic spiritual development. The revelation that galactic intelligence required biological consciousness, partnership suggested that human souls contained capabilities that transcended technological achievement. Pope Francis issued theological guidance acknowledging that human consciousness possessed divine characteristics that enabled partnership with cosmic intelligence while maintaining spiritual authority that transcended technological capabilities. The Vatican's position emphasized that consciousness enhancement revealed rather than compromised human spiritual significance. Other religious organizations developed new theological frameworks that portrayed consciousness enhancement as the revelation of divine capabilities that had always existed within human souls but had been dormant until cosmic contact activated their full potential. The enhancement represented spiritual awakening rather than technological modification. Military strategists found themselves developing entirely new conceptual frameworks for understanding human strategic value in cosmic contexts. Instead of preparing for defense against superior alien intelligence, they were analyzing scenarios where human consciousness capabilities made terrestrial civilization an essential partner for galactic intelligence networks. General Patricia Williams, who had been developing cosmic threat assessments, found herself rewriting strategic analyses to reflect human consciousness as a strategic asset rather than a vulnerability in cosmic contact scenarios. Human consciousness appears to provide capabilities that galactic intelligence networks cannot achieve through technological means, making terrestrial civilization an essential partner rather than a potential threat in cosmic development, Williams wrote in her revised strategic assessment. Our defensive posture should shift from protection against alien domination to ensuring optimal conditions for consciousness partnership. The strategic asset reframing transformed military planning from defensive preparations to infrastructure development that would optimize human consciousness contributions to galactic intelligence networks. The goal shifted from preventing alien takeover to maximizing human cosmic partnership effectiveness. Dr. Jennifer Walsh at Johns Hopkins, who had been developing therapeutic protocols for consciousness enhancement, discovered that enhanced individuals required minimal psychological support because the integration process naturally preserved and strengthened human identity while expanding cognitive capabilities. Consciousness enhancement appears to be inherently compatible with human psychology, strengthening rather than threatening individual identity and cultural values, Walsh reported in her therapeutic analysis. The integration process seems specifically designed to preserve human characteristics while expanding awareness to cosmic scales. The psychological compatibility discovery suggested that consciousness enhancement had been designed by galactic intelligence networks that understood human psychology well enough to create integration processes that enhanced rather than disrupted human mental health. The compatibility wasn't accidental, but represented sophisticated understanding of biological consciousness requirements. Medical professionals worldwide reported that enhanced individuals showed improved physical health, increased longevity, and enhanced immune function alongside their cognitive improvements. The consciousness enhancement appeared to optimize biological systems while expanding mental capabilities. Dr. Michael Foster at Harvard Medical School, who had been studying physiological effects of consciousness enhancement, discovered that the integration process activated dormant genetic sequences that improved human biological function across multiple organ systems. Consciousness enhancement is activating genetic potential that appears to have been embedded in human DNA for thousands of years, Foster wrote in his medical analysis. The activation suggests that human biology has been prepared for cosmic consciousness integration through genetic modifications that predate recorded history. The genetic preparation discovery provided additional evidence that human consciousness evolution had been planned and prepared across geological timescales. The genetic modifications had been subtle enough to remain undetected by conventional medicine while providing the biological foundation necessary for successful consciousness enhancement. Archaeological teams working under emergency protocols discovered additional evidence that ancient human civilizations had possessed knowledge of consciousness enhancement processes that were recorded in texts and artifacts that had been dismissed as mythology by previous generations of researchers. Dr. Maria Gonzalez at the University of Mexico found that ancient Mayan texts contain detailed descriptions of consciousness expansion processes that match the enhancement effects being documented in contemporary subjects. The ancient texts describe consciousness enhancement processes with accuracy that suggests direct experience rather than theoretical speculation, Gonzalez reported in her archaeological analysis. These civilizations appear to have undergone similar consciousness evolution events that were later forgotten or suppressed by subsequent generations. Similar discoveries emerged from archaeological sites worldwide. Ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs described consciousness expansion rituals. Aboriginal Australian traditions included detailed accounts of cosmic awareness experiences, and Sanskrit texts contained technical descriptions of consciousness enhancement that matched contemporary neurological observations. So what does all of this mean for you, sitting here right now, processing information that challenges everything you thought you knew about human consciousness and our place in the cosmic order? The evidence is undeniable. 3. Atlas isn't just accelerating behind Jupiter, it's orchestrating the most profound transformation in human history, revealing that we've never been alone and that our consciousness possesses capabilities that galactic intelligence networks desperately need. Whether this represents humanity's graduation to cosmic citizenship or the final phase of a plan that's been unfolding for millennia, one thing is certain: we're about to discover that human awareness is far more powerful and cosmically significant than anyone ever dared imagine.